Travels with Thomas, always a journey. Meteora, Greece. Meteora is a rock formation in central Greece, hosting one of the largest and most precipitously built complexes of Eastern Orthodox monasteries, second in importance only to Mount Athos. 6 monasteries are built on immense natural pillars and hill-like rounded boulders that dominate the local area. Pilgrim's Path, Journey of a Non-Orthodox. O harshness, make way, leave here. O gentleness, make way, come here. O God, make way, be here. O self, make way, know here. Thomas. Day 1. I arrived in Meteora in awe of the rock formations that created its backdrop. I trusted my gut and pictures from the web to guide me to the location of the hotel I had hoped to stay at. Lo and behold, I found myself in front of where I wanted to be. With a bit of negotiating and a willingness to stay somewhere else, I got the room for $37 per night, normally $115. Feeling satisfied and a bit proud, I sat on the balcony of my room looking at the rock formations less than 100 yards from me. One formation was clearly a Buddha. Day 2. The morning was cloudy, rainy, and cold, but bearable. I knew I could hike the trail to the Monastery of the Holy Trinity that sat atop the spire before me. Putting on multiple layers, I headed up the mountain. The rain was a mere drizzle and refreshing. The cold was held at bay with my layers, and my adrenaline propelled me up the trail. Half an hour later, I was at the first door of the monastery. A sign said it was not open until 10 a.m. I had arrived at 9:15 a.m. Knowing the monastery of St. Stephen was not too far away and open at 9:30 a.m., I decided to walk up the road and check it out. The drizzling continued, but I felt dry and warm. Arriving at the monastery, a convent, I entered. A nun was there to take my €2. I entered the most beautiful garden courtyard, ready for a quiet, reflective, prayerful time. Then the chatter of teenagers filled the air. Their voices echoed in the small confines of the courtyard, and it was clear they did not read the sign. Please remember, you are in a holy place, and respect the space. I too apparently ignored the message of the sign, because my anger-filled judgment for their disrespect entered my heart, and my thoughts were less than holy. Nonetheless, I made my way to the church and was able to enjoy a few minutes of quiet. The frescoes were amazing, and the sense of holiness was palatable, despite the chatter filtering in. I left St. Stephen to make my way back to the Monastery of the Holy Trinity, knowing it would be open. I walked slowly, hoping the bus of teens would have been there and left before my arrival. The rain was a bit harder, but nothing unbearable. I walked the half-mile back to Holy Trinity. Taking the 100-plus step ascent, I arrived at a locked door. Knocking and getting no answer, I figured the rain prevented them from opening. No big deal, I would just come another day. I made my way down and back to my hotel, warming myself by the fire in the lobby and sipping some Nescafe, Greek for American coffee. There was a cloudburst that lasted well into the night. Day 3, I woke up to a steady light rain and thought of using it as an excuse to stay in bed. But then I remembered I had a rental car. I would give up hiking to the monasteries and take a drive up the mountain, parking and walking short distances to enter each monastery, forgetting that each had 100 to 300 steps. One thing that is easily forgotten as a tourist is that these monasteries are active spiritual communities, so part of my visits, I was able to see a bit of the daily life of a monastery. What follows is a brief description of each monastery I visited and what I experienced. Nicholas. I climbed the many steps to the small church as people were walking down. Entering the church, I was surrounded by sounds of chanting and amazing frescoes depicting the life of the church and Christ. I saw a priest at the altar behind the screen, finishing Mass and cleaning the chalice, then removing his vestments, finally closing the doors of the screen. My time was done. I left and descended the steps from which I came. Rusano. I arrived at the end of a community social that had followed Mass. I was the only visitor and joined a group of 3 women in silent prayer in the back of the church. After prayer, a small nun and I talked about the paintings in the nave of the church. They depicted the lives of the martyrs: burnings, boilings, hangings, stonings, stretchings. You know, the usual ways of martyrdom. I came to discover that these depictions were the norm in all of the churches. You enter through the life of the martyrs. Barlam. What I noticed beyond all the steps, the beautiful garden, and the large boulders which had crashed from the side of the rock before I had arrived, was the presence of eggs in the light fixtures. I knew this was connected with birth and new life, but I did not know this. A monk told me the ostrich is the only bird that does not hatch its eggs, but it takes care of them from a distance until the birds get out of the egg and grow up near it, and then follow the adult. Like this bird, God takes care of the faithful from afar until they are reborn and follow Him. Great Meteora, the largest and most informative as to monastery life, Greek history, and the Orthodox faith. It was here I discovered the existence of an early manuscript which bestowed Christianity onto pre-Christian Greek philosophers, leaders, and poets, Socrates, Homer, et al. This was done because their writings pointed to the one God that would send a leader to bring salvation to the world. Clever, if you ask me. Rather than rejecting these great thinkers, they said they were Christians all along because they pointed to Christ. I did drive to Holy Trinity Monastery, hoping it would be opened. I climbed the steps in the rain, only to find the door closed and locked once again. It was a great day, and given the weather, very few people were around, so I was able to spend quality reflective time in each monastery and came home for a wonderful nap. Day 4. The sun poked its head and the rain stopped, so I decided to see what places look like without being surrounded by clouds. What an incredible drive. I had lunch on a rock spire from where I could see 4 monasteries, maybe 5, as I ate my bread, cheese, and apple. The god of irony had me go to Holy Trinity Monastery for a third time. Get it? Trinity. 3. Once again, I climbed the steps. The door? It was open. I was the only one there, not even a ticket taker, just me and God. I sat amongst the incredible frescoes and then made my way outside to the overlook, where I could see the village and hotel where I was staying. What an amazing and blessed way to conclude my monastery visits. Day 5, I walked to the hill of St. Elias the Prophet. It sits below the monastery monoliths. Here I sat eating lunch, overlooking all of the rock formations, Hermitage Rock, monasteries, and the valley floor. From the hill of St. Elias, I walked across the city to Hermitage Rock, where caves serve as spaces for hermits to live. I climbed into one and had a quiet hour or so in wonderful contemplation. Humbly, I will sum up my visit to Meteora with this quote: I fought the Lord, and I am not ashamed, and because of it I discovered that I am on my path, because such is my wish. It is to Thee, O Lord, that I would return at this moment. I wish to praise Thee with the strength of my will, and not with the coward of one who has not known how to choose another path. But for Thee to confide to me Thy important mission, I must continue this battle against Thee until Thou bless me. Paulo Coelho.